building an app, and we have a MVP that we've been running, and for a bunch of reasons decided to add a embedded AI prompt in the middle of it. The app uses LLMs to do a bunch of stuff internally. That's fine, but there's one particular one of the prompts that we want some of our end users, some of the power users and admins to be able to edit interactively. So we've got this same very simple page that was auto-generated and designed automatically by the LLM before, that lets you choose from a set of different prompts that you've already created. And for each prompt, you can create sections. So you've got things like role, you are a helpful AI assistant, etc. This doesn't actually work at the moment because I don't have the back end running, but it would then appear different sections down the screen, and then you can control options for each one. So you can change the actual value of the prompt. So in theory, you would have your role prompt here. You would say, this is choosing the AI role, and then you would add the section I'd created before, but you could then have different alternative values for it. So you could have role, you are an AI assistant. Role, you are an AI, you are a software engineer specializing in design, something, etc. And at the end, it gives you a preview showing you all the stuff. So first thing to notice is this doesn't actually work at the moment. It's got a bunch of bugs, and worse, it's phenomenally ugly. Normally I'd make a very functional version, I'd fix all the bugs, and then I would, if we're still using it after a few weeks, I'd go looking for an open source solution or a commercial solution that actually looked nice, like an off-the-shelf React component or something like that. But with the AI, I would rather just create our own and do it before I fix the bugs, because the new version, new design might be structured completely differently. So first thing I'm going to try is go to Midjourney, and you can see my test run there, which is a bit unfortunate. But I went with this one, website landing page prompt editor UI UX. And as you can see, it gives us some website designs. That one's maybe quite nice, but they're far too abstract to be useful. So we'll try something UI UX, and we'll do what's called wireframe and Photoshop. This is Midjourney, so unlike an LLM, it's really dumb and stupid. It only does keyword matching. It can't understand concepts or semantics, and you have to dumb down your brain to work with it. And then we want to add in something about AI prompt editor strings preview section choosing. I have no idea whether this will produce anything useful. Let's just see. If you're trying to do a thematic website, this tends to work really well. So the other day I was working on something for a computer game, and this was the design it came up with for a computer game that involves robots, AI, hacking computers, all sorts of things. So it was great at coming up with a nice, complete thematic website design. The challenge with Midjourney is it has this habit of trying to do these incredibly annoying Apple-style isometric designs. And some of this might be useful later for if we want to make a custom theme, but on the whole, that's useless. So rather than waste time on that, let's go back to this and have another think. So what I'd next do is I'd go to Google and go to interactive image search and start searching for things that seem relevant, and look for screenshots of other people's apps that I like the look of. And that one looks maybe usable. It's got some nice inline flow. Just quickly scanning through. We're not going to actually use the precise design from any of these, so really don't care that much. Just looking for something that looks more usable than the trash I have right now. That one's, it's it's still very basic. It's not really an improvement. What I'd like is something that's a bit more user-friendly and shows you more of what's happening all at once. So in the end, I think I'm going to say, no, don't like any of this. Instead, what I'm going to do is go with Jupyter, which is a great system for combining code and text and the output all in one go. So now the question is, can I find a good screenshot that will help the LLM to understand how this works? That might be it. Let's try this. So that's a screenshot showing some text in sections and an editing interface. That might be good enough, might not. Let's try a bit further down. About that one. It's got some debugging stuff at the bottom that I think will confuse the LLM. How about this one? Yeah, more stuff that'll confuse the LLM. So we're not going to give the LLM much context here beyond the screenshot. So the screenshot needs to be pretty close to the layout we want. I think that one's probably good enough. So we'll save the image, and that will do in, let's just save it in the root so it's easy to find. And back to the workspace. And so now what we're going to say is create a new visual design as a wrap component or set of components, and put it under a new route or root within app, so that I can delete it later really easily if I don't like it. The visual design is for creating and editing AI prompts. AI prompt is a long text string. Prompt is made, this is just describing the basics of how we want, functionally how we want it to work. This prompt is made up of sections. Each section has a title that is included in the output and a body of one or more paragraphs of text. When constructing a prompt, you add sections, and for each section there may be multiple pre-made versions you can choose from, but you can edit any of them or add a new version of that section. The overall prompt is then saved and can be switched back to even after creating a new version later. Just trying to give a very basic description of how I think I want this to work. See attached screenshot. Let's just see if copy paste will work. Copy. Yeah, copy paste seems to have worked for some design guidance. In fact, I'm just going to say that. In fact, I'm not even going to say see attached screenshot. Let's see if it figures it out. Off you go. This is cursor running on auto, so yeah, not expecting greatness. Don't really care about its structure or naming. The only thing I care about is this line here, to make sure that it's inserting a single line within the app file. If it were inserting multiple lines or deleting some or changing the structure of the main existing project, I would have stopped it at this point. And off it goes. There's not much we can do while we just wait for it to work here. Oh, it's searching, so it's trying to reuse something. Don't reuse any code. This is a new, fresh design. There is actually, obviously, the existing code for the version I showed at the start is in here, is in this code base, but I don't want it using it. Not exactly sure what it's up to at the moment. Interestingly, I've never seen this before. Literally. It is just apparently stuck. Okay, I'm going to stop it there. I'm going to switch to something better. Is Sonnet? Sonnet is still a bit cheaper than a what's it called? The rest, Gemini 2.5 Pro. So let's just see what happens if we let Sonnet have a go. I suspect that Cursor's default model just got upset there and confused. Possibly Cursor is having problems today. It was working 5 minutes ago. All right, we're getting something. It was just being very slow. While that's running, I'm just going to check which web address we're running on for this. It should be a local host address. I'm just not sure which one. Somewhere in the logs. And oh, there we go. Visit admin/prompt editor. Okay, so it reckons it's done. Let's just open this and admin/prompt editor. Well, that was a spectacular fail on your part. Has it changed? It won't have changed that. Why has that happened? Admin prompt editor does appear to be the root, but prompt editor page is missing, whereas this one is not missing. Okay, so I think what's happened is while we were switching from one model to the other, it's failed, and I'm just going to get the keyboard settings shortcuts are different in this version to the one I'm accustomed to using. So I'm just using autocomplete on VS Code cursor there to get that, and it's recompiled. Interesting. Open up the console, see what we're... Right, don't care. Something's gone wrong. I'm going to give it... So this is a project that literally 5 minutes ago was working, but 10 minutes ago. I did make another change shortly before this, which might have broken it. just a bit confused that Webpack is happily rebuilding it. Oh, you're kidding me. What? Ha! Problem exists between keyboard and chair. Brilliant. So it could have taken me quite a while to spot that. Particularly classic, trying to move too quickly, not paying attention, didn't read that. And thankfully, the LLM has picked it up. So here we have a new design, which is already significantly better. I don't know if it actually works, and it seems to work. So if we had role v1 and you are an expert UX designer, and so it should now, right? Okay, and we add another section. I hate Material UI for this kind of stuff, but we will fix that in a moment. And task. Guide the user by asking a lot of questions. So this is not the real prompts we're using, but this is just to show, to test that I've got a prompt being assembled. And there, yep, that's worked brilliantly. Copy to clipboard, let's just see if that works. Yep, copy to clipboard is working. And we can reorder these, maybe? No, reordering doesn't work. I didn't want reordering anyway. And let's see, save new version. Save. Oh, yes. So if I now delete both of these and switch, yeah, and it's live maintaining the different versions. That's great, but I'm not sure if I want that. So let's say duplicate this route into a new clone, and then redesign it, or redesign the visual look and feel to not use Material UI and no additional frameworks. I just don't want it to go trying to import and install new frameworks. Just plain CSS, but make it attractive. So what I'm asking for now is for it to make a wholly new UI, UX, that I can then compare the two of them and decide which one I like more. Yeah, you haven't built it yet. I think after this we'll give what's its face Gemini a go and see what design it comes up with. When I do this, normally if I'm doing more than 2 or 3 designs, I'll also ask the LLM to create a design or theme switcher, so I can quickly jump between the 2 of them, 3 of them. I've done up to like 8 or 10 of different designs before, and use different design files. In fact, while it's doing it, let's have us go. So we're going to tell it we want it to look at, what was it, prompt editor page. There we go. Is a so I'm just going to ask it to do some UX design while we're some textual design. So I'm going to say acting as a senior UI and UX expert, and an expert in front-end development, front-end software engineering. And we'll go back to the other prompt and give it the functional description I originally had. Right. Oops, copy paste didn't work. This is a problem with Cursor actually. It has broken copy paste quite spectacularly. I don't know, can't remember which version it was, but when you select and copy the first time, nothing happens. And sometimes the second time too. Right, you have to click in, you have to select, you have to click a few more times, and eventually, if you've clicked enough and you do copy enough times, if you're lucky, oh, I think it's because it's in the middle of generating. So they block copy paste while in the middle of generating, I think. Oh no, it did work. I still haven't figured out what that actual bug is in Cursor and why it happens. Right, so that gives it something to do while we go back here and see what's going on with the code generation. It's still Cursor just being, I mean, technically it's Sonnet, but I think the reality is the Cursor servers are struggling today for some reason. Well, I like what it's thinking. This is a video which you're going to have to watch at 2x speed because there is a lot of waiting. Feel free to go and get a cup of tea, get some coffee, have a sandwich. And okay, UX has come back, no, the app's still thinking, but let's have a look at the UX. This just gives us something to read while waiting for the other window to do something. So I wasn't looking for it to actually write code, but, and has it created a new file? Yeah, it's created a new file, so it's not messing up the one that's being built in the other window. And its new code is, oh no, it has messed up the code in the other window. That's not helpful. Right, so I'm going to have to say, so this is a problem with Sonnet. Sonnet 4 is trash for a lot of code editing, code writing. If you're doing really trivial examples, it's brilliant, but anything non-trivial, it does stupid stuff like this where I didn't ask it to write code, I didn't want it to write code, there was nothing that suggested it should write code. Not only did it write code, it went and trashed an existing file with some rubbish that it's created. So when Sonnet does this, the old versions of Sonnet, you had to prepend this text without writing code. Frustratingly, Sonnet 4, you need to say it without writing code nearly all the time because it just goes off on one. Quite frustratingly. Meanwhile, this one has finished. Is that actually, and it's compiled, so it's probably going to work. Let's have a look. That should have auto-reloaded, but just in case. Yeah, it has. So what has it changed? Oh, it's put it in a new prompt editor -plain. It's got a new route. Well, it's slightly more modern color scheme, but do not like how this prompt versions thing is visually done. It's nice. Oh my god, that in the bottom corner is horrifically ugly. Fine. Let's have a look at what the UX came up with, the UX feedback. So, I mean, there is a lot written here. I'm just going to skim read through this. Split pane, it wants to do a split pane layout, inline editing, card-based sections here. The main thing I noticed when it was giving its original feedback is it said no live preview. So I want to call that out in particular. Most of those are great, but in particular, you mentioned adding a live preview to the screen. This would be an excellent feature. So I'm trying to have a discussion with it on this point and really prompt it to kind of think through like a UX design. So I actually be explicit, this being Sonnet and it being trash at the current version, for losing the plot. Acting as a UX designer, sketch out a plan that incorporates live preview without without sacrificing the best ideas, but without including every single thing, i.e. make some design compromises to include this. I'm kind of grossly summarizing what would be a real process with a design team, and I'm not being nice to it. I'm making it have to try and one-shot it. So I'm not sure I want that split, but fine. It wants to keep live preview, inline editing. Yeah, I think that's basic. Section management, definitely required. Clean visual hierarchy. What's it throwing out? It's throwing out editing inline. Seems right, it's throwing out drag and drop reordering. That's fine. We didn't want that. Rich text. We didn't want that. We do actually need autosave. We don't want keyboard shortcuts. That's true. Probably don't need undo. Yep. So the one thing I want to add back in is, where was it? Autosave. Re-add autosave, but otherwise enact your changes. Create a new route, preserving the original, and implement your new design. Oh, what's just happened? I'm just going to go through and accept these old files while I'm here. Prompt editor page. How have you lost? Oh, I must have accidentally hit Control Z on this one, and it's right. So using the reapply button just recreated that in cursor. And meanwhile, right, yeah, and I need to finish also completing this one. There we go. The warning in the bottom left is because we had reverted some of Cursor's code last week, and we had to do it in Git because Cursor's checkpoint system is so badly broken since about March 2025. It just is fundamentally broken. And there's tons of comments all over the forums about why it's broken and how it's broken and begging Cursor to fix it. They still haven't fixed it. And in the meantime, it has problems like this, where because we reverted the file manually using Git, Cursor then, its internal data is out of sync and we keep getting those complaints. Eventually, when we edit that file again in Cursor, it will just overwrite with its new version. It'll all be fine. For the time being, I'm just ignoring it. Just want to get to the end. see this new design, compare it. Meanwhile, I'll just double check that the new one is still there and has restored. Yeah. One of the things that I do in practice, especially when something like this happens, where cursor is having a slow day, is I'll also fire up Claude to use Sonnet and or ChatGPT to use GPT-4o to do some work in the meantime, where I'm talking directly to the LLM and we're not being slowed down by whatever problems cursor servers are having. I'm fairly confident it's cursor servers, given that it happened both when using the Claude 4 Sonnet model and also when using the Auto model. And also, this is why I subscribe to quite a lot of different foundation model providers, so I always have another model I can use if I need it. I could, in fact, use that right now. I could go to ChatGPT and let's have a go, actually. So if I go ChatGPT, for this though, we're going to want to give it, do we need to give it any? I'm going to give it the main app. Yep, so it's given it the main app source code, given it the prompt. I'm just going to say, acting as a professional UX design team with front-end expert engineers, create a visually attractive React implementation for this. So in the time Cursor is still thinking about it with Sonnet 4, ChatGPT has immediately given us this. It's given us a unique route, so that's fine. I can just drop that in there. And let's create prompt builder page.tsx. And copy that. There we have that. And that should be it. I'm just going to check whether it created some CSS as well. It did not. Right. And all the imports are wrong. I'm just going to delete that and try to autocomplete them. In the meantime, it looks like Cursor's finished what it was doing, but I will just carry on with this. It looks like our version of Material UI doesn't include those, so let's just grab what version of Material UI we're using. Oh, right, I was trying to use Tailwind, was it? Okay. Well, that wouldn't have worked. Wait for ChatGPT to finish. Grab that, overwrite this. Imports seem to have worked. Save. Ignore that. So we should now have two new. And of course, Thingy has gone and deleted the changes we added. So I'll just re-add that. and correct the imports. Right, so we should now have prompt builder and prompt editor live. Let's grab. Interesting. So prompt editor live, this is the new one that was created by the UX expert. It's looking quite nice in some ways. That lets you create new versions. Okay, that makes sense. These text editing boxes are way too small. There's something weird going on with the mouse cursor. And this is not resizable, which is incredibly frustrating because this makes it very hard to edit that text. I hate this, basically. I would prefer to have the sections in line. This is what ChatGPT created. And I mean, it works. And once you click Save Prompt, you get a version, but no preview. So actually, it's a bit of a net loss. So I would now, this has taken longer than it would because I was waiting a huge amount of time for for Cursor, sorry. I would now probably say to Cursor, take this design and put the best of both worlds together. And let's